saw a tweet today that was about there's not many politically homeless people. About how no one's saying it, and I was like, oh, I should have really hammed this up more.
No, you're right, which is odd because there's still loads of actual homeless.
Yep. Who have been put there by political means.
There's not really such a thing as apolitical homelessness, is there?
No, some of those people, they just made mistakes. It's their own bloody fault.
It's just like any sensible meaning of the phrase wouldn't actually include Matt Ford and co.
Okay.
Now his podcast is called The Political Party, isn't it? Not Politically Homeless. I don't know if any centrists
was his
had
book
a
was his book
podcast
called Politically Homeless, or used it heavily in the book promotion or something?
Yeah,
probably. Did he write that when
Yeah.
Ed Miliband was in Dangerous Communist?
Let me fact check that. He definitely called a book or a tour or something politically homeless.
Yep.
Yeah, it was his book. Yeah,
It's called The Laugh Out Loud.
citation needed.
Yeah, I was a little bit nervous about having you on, Josie, due to the large amount of comedians that we've launched vicious verbal assaults on in the course of this election cycle.
If this is a denunciation of me, I feel like I deserve it. You know, I'm getting old. I need to be kept spry. There are lots of ways that I've been. It's interesting. I think I was more upset by people in 2019. I suppose, I guess I've been most upset with comedy in the comedy industry since October 7th. That's been really, really upsetting, especially seeing people whose stock trade is politics or whose stock trade is feminist issues or kind of social issues just being silent as the grave. That's been just horrifically depressing to see people not even saying anything. But yeah, I mean, it's a weird one because this election is so bleak and so devoid of, I guess, like, I like what the Greens are saying, you know, like, I'm glad of them. But like, on the whole, I guess it's been kind of funny to see who's chosen to do a promo video for Labour and who's posing with Keir fucking Starmer. Like, it's, I don't know. I think there's almost been an element of joy because it's been like, of course you fucking are, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, like Matt Ford, no surprise he'd be palling around with Starmer because he is the biggest Blairite wanker in comedy. But like John Richardson, I didn't know that, you know, I knew that he'd like slagged Corbyn off in 2019, but I thought it was just the fashionable thing to do. I didn't realise he was actually a fucking Blairite.
Is he not like Matt
you never
Ford's
know.
best mate?
He might have just been
podcasts together and stuff like for years. I think probably Ford has been indoctrinating him for about 15 years.
Oh, that's pretty. I know John and I like him a lot. But at the same time, like, maybe he was just in the pub and someone said, "Hey John, can we have a photo?" And he smiled. And by the time it was taken, he didn't realise who it was. That happens to people, doesn't it? You know, it happens to Farage all the time. People go up to him and they say, "Oh, have a photo, Nigel." And then they get the photo and it's a video and they're like, "Look at this cunt." It could have been that Keir Starmer pranked him.
It would be quite funny if Matt Ford was just someone he kept bumping into in the pub, whereas Matt Ford's like, "Yeah, John's my best mate, yeah."
That's why you need courageous pub owners who are prepared to show Sir Keir the door.
Oh, God. That
There was one, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Years ago, but like, wasn't it sort of dodgy? Like, this is the problem, is like, so often my enemy's enemy is also like a super dodgy guy.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, great. Oh, yeah, they attacked Keir Starmer, but they attacked him for being a reptilian or something. You're like, no!
There was a glorious 20 minutes between, like, seeing the funny, angry guy shouting at Keir Starmer in no uncertain terms and then getting it confirmed that he was, like, a proper anti-lockdown, anti-vax type guy. But that brief little window there, that guy could have won any political contest he ran for.
There should be a name like that, but it's like the Overton window, but it's like the Eye of the Storm or something, like the beautiful window or something where you're looking out the window and it's warm and the sky is blue and you're like, this is how the world should be. Oh, okay, yeah, he's a cunt, okay.
You should be allowed,
I suppose that was
like,
the milkshake duck.
A 15-minute window when you become notable for any reason.
Yes.
You're allowed to just sort of
Everyone
dip
will
out.
be unproblematically famous for 15 minutes.
You're allowed to dip out. No one's allowed to milkshake duck you, but you've got to keep a low profile for the rest of your life. and then everyone can just remember you as if you were good. Like,
God, it would be so nice, wouldn't it?
I'm getting a bad connection on your end, but if you record it
I'm sorry.
remotely, that's not a problem for anyone listening. I'll just have to
don't worry.
pretend to understand what you say.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. The connection is bad.
It's not that bad. It's just a little tiny bit fuzzy.
To be honest, Geraint, you're a bit fuzzy for me as well, so maybe the problem's a bit on my end.
It probably is,
know.
Jack. Yeah.
Okay. Just had to double check. Should I properly introduce the show before we go all in?
Yeah, we can always rejig the order, but we should record an intro at some point. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi everyone. Real Politik. Nah, fuck that. I don't like the vibe of that intro. Welcome to Real Politik. That's basically the same as the last one. Whatever. This is Real Politik. Welcome in Real Politik. We're joined by our good friend Josie Long today for the first time since the last election. We're hoping that we can exert a similar level of influence on the outcome of this one. Josie, great to have you on the show today.
Hello. Well, if we can help Labour lose again, they'll be so grateful.
Exactly. Yeah,
it's funny.
Yeah. The same. If we can get the same outcome through this show, then that would be fantastic. Yeah. But Real Politik election coverage continues. I don't know. Because we're doing 15 episodes a week, I don't have time to think of funny intros and shit. I don't have the fucking mental bandwidth for that.
That's fair.
Recording and editing these things. No actual preparation can go into the episodes. I'm sorry, everyone. I can't
as opposed to the hours of groundwork we put into every episode normally.
I usually have 3 jokes in a Google Docs file, and that lasts me for 3 hours.
That's more than I do most of the time.
Yeah, often just literally doing one of those jokes for an hour apiece, not even sprinkling them with extemporizations on the fly. So here we are in 2024. There's a general election going on.
It feels like the longest and shortest 5 years of my life.
Absolutely.
It's such a trip. And it's so funny because I feel a bit like this is a reunion episode, you know? And we're looking back oh wow, remember when we used to have hope? Remember when we were trying? And I would be so interested to ask you guys where you feel your politics has gone, what you would describe your politics as now. Because I would say that I feel deeply radicalised by the last 5 years, but what that radicalisation means is I think I've probably gone further to the left and become more committed to trying to educate myself a bit in the history of socialist and liberationist thought, that kind of thing. Whether I've actually done any reading, that's not important. But the feeling, the vibes are the vibes of Thomas Sankara all the way, it's that's it.
Absolutely.
I feel like I've made the decision that I am determined to be kind of uncowed by 2019 after about 3 years of being frankly quite traumatized by it.
I feel although we love cows on these shows, we're cows in a way.
Of course,
we're
the milk, of course.
You could say. Yeah, I don't know. I feel much the same, except I've not really committed to learning more about socialism I'm just okay, I know what I know. I'm just set in my ways, and I'm not gonna adjust them at all if the left loses again. I'm I've done it. It's I've been through multiple losses, and nothing fundamentally changed about my worldview. So fundamentally, I'm just going to keep ploughing on, and I don't care who doesn't bloody like it.
Don't back down.
It's people who are no. I feel if you've hit rock bottom, you're I've hit rock bottom, mate. Nothing can hurt me.
I think
you can't break my heart again.
I think it genuinely has that. Again, like Jack, my politics themselves really, I don't think have changed much at all in the last 5 years. But I think all the shit we all went through on the left between 2015 and 2019 has helped deal with the horrendous last 5 years a bit, because you're just completely immune to the tricks and the attempts to sort of
You can say
grab
it,
us
lies
kicking
and
and screaming
smears.
towards respectability. Respectability.
The cowards and the traitors.
Yeah.
Lies and smears from swindlers and thieves.
The trolls and the haters. Whatever terminology you use, we're all talking about the same people.
Also, I feel like I was naive. I really did think that we would... I mean, this is so ridiculous. I thought we would get a fair crack at the whip. I thought if we just worked really hard, we would have a chance. I thought that they would play by the rules. I thought the right of the Labour Party would play by the rules. I thought the Tory Party would play by the rules. And now I just feel so glad in some way to have been disabused of so many notions. Yeah. Because I just feel like, oh, good. At least I know the lay of the land now, And it's bad.
Yeah, it's very enlightening. It's like, are they gonna stop doing this shit about how the left are really bad for supporting Palestine when Israel start doing a genocide? No, they're absolutely not gonna stop doing that. They're gonna do it more.
That's astonishing, Matt. But in some ways, I don't know if you found it. It's been very interesting seeing a lot of people who absolutely despised Corbyn in 2019 reveal themselves to have very extreme anti-Palestinian views that have come out since October 7th. And that has been revelatory to me. I've been like, oh, wow, it's made me feel less mad in a way because I've been like, okay, I think there are people who have really extreme views. I'm thinking of Lee Khan, for example, who's just
he's radicalised himself, hasn't he? Completely.
The most extreme example. He makes Seinfeld look like a moderate on Israel.
He's not a well man, but he's so unpleasant in what he's saying that it's hard to feel the usual level of sympathy for people who are saying horrible things while not being well. He's just so
truly.
much hate in himself.
But also, I think it's made me feel
we hear mental illness,
mental
illness this, mental illness that, mental health awareness. Maybe some people deserve mental illness.
That's let's not
not
go
me
down
though.
this road,
No,
given us the presenters of this show.
I've been afflicted by a terrible condition, whereas my enemies are just bad people. Let's continue.
But just thinking about him and how bullying he was to me and stuff, and I sort of think, oh well, you kind of have shown the world what your beliefs are about, who's entitled to be alive and stuff, so I don't feel as threatened by you now.
Hey, but he won 1/9 of an Academy Award in a year when hardly any films came out, so you've got to respect him.
I thought you were just going to say he won politics, he got every fucking thing he wanted, and what do you know, he's still completely miserable. Maybe his life is awful because he's a cunt rather than because Palestinians are trying to murder him.
People got, a lot of people if we're just talking about UK politics again, a lot of people got exactly what they wanted. And yet the ghost of Corbyn pinches them all night. They can't get a moment's sleep. Corbyn creeps in through the window. Fuck me. The power that Corbyn remains to have is so admirable. Just tormenting
how scared
them.
Some of them are with the thought of him just continuing as an MP, in which minimal influence compared with when he was leader of the Labour Party, but they're so determined.
They got to take everything from us.
Yeah.
But this is how they feel, isn't it?
But they've already had loads of actual victories against us, and they still don't feel it's enough. It is all about putting the left back in its box for as long as possible, and anything they can do to make it 30 years instead of 15 years until another Corbynism comes along. He'll pursue that to any end.
Well, bad luck to them, because I feel like it's different
We
now.
can beg grudges
I do feel
better,
like it's
and
fundamentally
we've on average
different.
got less to lose, so how's that going to work out for you, mate?
I saw a funny tweet earlier, speaking of how scared people on the political centre and right are of Corbyn. I saw a tweet by somebody called Liz Trey.
Name rings a bell, but I don't know where from.
You put really shit things on it. Liz Trey, I don't know. I saw a load of bylines of shit right-wing publications in her bio. No, also like respectable publications like Sight and Sound. I think she's like an editor at Sight and Sound. Anyway, okay, how is
She can't bear the sight or sound of Corbyn, I'll tell you that for free. I don't know who she is.
This is in a reply to Gabby Hinsliff. They're talking about Labour rat fucking their candidate against Nigel Farage in Clapton, not the great Eric Clapton, who has endorsed the independent campaign of Andrew Feinstein. No, in Clacton, Labour have like completely rat fucked their candidate against Farage. But aside from that, she's saying, speaking of campaigning, the Corbyn people are verging on harassment in Finsbury Park now. It's mad. They wait in banks of two, several sets, all the way up, and harangue you multiple times. I'm just trying to get the bus. Just like this idea, like, look for Corbyn supporters behind the grassy knoll.
How do you
I'm
think
sure.
door knocking campaigns usually go? You go out in a large group and then split out into smaller groups of 2 and 3 and knock some doors. That's how it works. By definition, in like public places in the street.
Basically, I just feel like it's so sad that instead of being like, wow, Corbyn's campaign really has inspired a lot of people to come out. He really is someone that people care about and respect. Instead, it's like, this mob of pairs of... Like, she can't even make it threatening because what she's saying is people in sets of 2 are standing on the street.
Asking who they plan to vote for, politely, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh, terrifying, baying mob of feral hounds. Josie, in terms of comedians who we actually like, other than your good self, like there's bound to be more. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but over in America, there's Tim Heidecker, who me and Geraint are both obsessed with, and
he's amazing.
I don't know if you're familiar with his work at all.
Yeah, of course. I actually did some gigs with him 10 years ago, which is
really?
very exciting for me. Yeah, I did a festival. It was a very cool thing that I got to do. I did a festival in Vancouver that David Cross and Bob Odenkirk were putting on.
Oh, cool.
And they booked like loads of people. And it was like from England, me. From America, John Mulaney, Chelsea Peretti, all these people who then 3 years later like really went stratospheric.
Yeah.
And I look back and I'm like, oh, damn. But yeah, Tim Heidecker was there. We went for some Mexican food and he was very funny and very odd. It was good. Yeah, I think he's great.
I was going to
I wonder what his
discreetly ask,
politics are.
is he quite odd? Like you'd be disappointed if he wasn't, really.
Oh yeah, in that way that good, odd comedians are just very serious about who they are and what they're doing. Yeah, what's his politics? He's got to have all right politics. He did that songs album, didn't he? About Trump? Like the anti-Trump songs?
Yeah, Too Dumb for Suicide. It's a great
That was
record.
incredible.
Yeah. I mean, it's always hard to tell, like, from watching people's comedy exactly where they are politically. But I think it's pretty clear he's, at the very least, quite a far bit left of the Democrat Party.
Yeah, he at least was in the DSA for a bit, and he's been on Chapo multiple times. I rest my case. He's all right.
Oh, he's got to be all right. He's got to be all right. Oh wow,
but
he's
not
got loads
one,
of
not
new
just
records that I've not listened to. Man, he's a cool guy.
Well, most of them aren't just like straight up comedy. A lot of them are, genuine like singer-songwriter records, like the kind of stuff from the 70s that I exclusively listen to. It's honestly, very, very talented guy. But like, long story short, one of his greatest comic creations is the spin-off of probably his greatest comic creation on cinema. Obviously, Greg Turkington deserves an equal amount of credit. But Decca, the spy series, which we fucking love over here.
Oh God, I haven't seen it. But this is my problem, is I had my daughter 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And it kind of obliterated me being able to keep up with anything. And then I had another baby, in my little daughter, in 2021 at the end. And I just feel like people will be like, oh, have you heard of this? And I'll be like, oh no, did that come out this year? And they'll be like, it came out in 2019. I'll be like, get fucked.
Yeah, it's probably even older than that, to be fair.
Or I meet like comedians and they'll seem really good. And I'll be like, oh, are you doing your first show? And they'll be like, I'm doing my 10th show. And I'm like, get fucked.
I'm retiring after this one. I've been in the game too long. But yeah, in Decca, he is a super secret US CIA spy like Jack Bauer or what have you. And basically his nemesis is just like the first group of scary Muslims that the fictitious Tim Heidecker character from On Cinema would think of, which is the Taliban. And I don't know, there's just something about the way that like Tim Heidecker just says the Taliban in the stupidest way possible, like Taliban or whatever. It's just like, and the fact it's just like a white guy with a towel on his head playing the evil guy Abdul, and that white guy is Mark Protch, who's another alternative comedy genius from the On Cinema world. But rather than just rhapsodizing lyrical, anyway, yeah, I find just mentioning the Taliban really funny now, and I'm sure it's not funny if you're living under their repressive rule, but just linguistically, it's like a phrase that kind of gets stuck in my head. Like
if we get on a government,
Baroness Jenny Chapman.
Brian
very helpfully spoke over the actionable bit of what I said there.
Yeah. Sort of psychically censoring them is good.
I feel like if you were aware that, like, I think if you were aware that the Taliban was being mocked and you were having to live under the Taliban, you'd probably be like, please fill your boots. Please take this out.
Satirize the Taliban by all means. Yeah, that's I'm actually acting on behalf of the Afghan resistance. This is what Afghan civil society is telling me I should be doing, and this is allyship. Anyway, Labour are going to do a deal with the Taliban to send the fucking bloody immigrants back, according to John Ashworth. Anyway, this is
fuck me.
Yeah, he said this, and I was like, hang on.
It's fun just trying to
like
guess
Newsnight
exactly how much you're exaggerating, and it's probably not much at this point.
It's not that much. Look up like John Ashworth Taliban. I mean, it's like he's like there's a very particular situation.
What's this?
Just you were trying to uncover John Ashworth Taliban links.
Yeah, because of my for a number of months.
Because of my
I keep forgetting.
My failed
you're not
expose.
Joking at all.
No, look it up. Look it up. John Ashworth Taliban. I had to address this, and yeah, it's some like gross anti-immigration thing. It's not even like, you know, we're going to team up with the Taliban to defeat Western imperialism. Not which I was expecting from Keir Starmer's Labour Party.
I felt so sad this week. I really didn't think that the election discourse could get worse, and then this week it's just felt like such an acquiescence of so many fascist talking points and so much of like what's the word, like critical mass of this shit. Also, John Ashworth is someone who fooled me a bit during the Corbyn years because he was a member of Corbyn's shadow cabinet. I think he was the health.
Yeah, he was.
He was the health guy for a long time.
And now he's shadow paymaster.
And so
general.
I kind of I didn't even know that was a thing. I mean, what the fuck? I was like Witchfinder or something.
Yeah,
but
Starmer demoted him for Wes.
I sort of was fooled by him to some extent because I thought, he must be all right. He's working for the Corbyn project, you know. And then I remembered that his wife is one of the people who was shown with the text messages in that leaked report as abusing Diane Abbott and directing funding away during 2017. And you're like, God, like, why? I feel like the default should be completely and totally suspicious of anyone in the Labour Party until proven otherwise.
Yeah, she should have been suspicious of him because of the... This is documented.
Oh, what?
I think, isn't it? Anyway, I can always beep out the word...
God,
I just dropped in the Starmer smears.
That's the best anti-libel strategy I've ever heard.
Where Ashworth goes, Starmer follows. You know, that could refer to anything, but in fact, that refers to the fact that I believe Ashworth got in on slagging off Bangladeshi people before Starmer himself did. Then they both did the double whammy of singling out those people, although there was a note, but a community note on Twitter, and it said Starmer did not single out Bangladeshi people. He just used them as an example. It's like, his single example. That's like just fucking synonyms.
Imagine being that.
For legal reasons, I should point out that John Ashworth provides only 6 hits on Google. The only one that actually relates to the politician is from Guido Fawkes.
I rest my case.
I know.
A 2-line article.
For the first time in my life.
About Matt Hancock, isn't he?
Yeah. With him in a picture next to Lisa Nandy in a kind of like
Yeah.
strange implication.
Anyway, we all heard this story from Paul Staines, the respected journalist, if anyone is listening and doesn't like that we've made that implication on the show. Paul Staines is your man.
Yeah, lay the blame at his door.
Yeah, that man should be sued.
Yes, so...
That would be so good, just to
Sorry, Josie.
constantly try and find the most libellous things that Paul Staines has said just to get him in trouble over and over again.
I mean,
it would be beautiful.
Paul Staines has been based in Ireland the whole time Guido Fawkes has been a thing, just so he can't be sued for libel. So
Whoa!
resistant to it.
That's awesome.
He can in fact, though, he's not immune to drink driving charges, and that's where he keeps slipping up.
Yeah, it's like, what are the laws there? It's like, what are their extradition treaties on drink driving charges? Like, yeah, I don't know. I that is funny though that he moved to Ireland to avoid British libel laws. I like this guy more every day.
Do you remember when he drove a tank dressed as the Stig? Is that right? It feels like it could be a dream.
He was definitely involved in promoting lots of stuff like that. I can't remember who was driving the tank, but they did. When the site was basically him and Harry Cole, I think, and it might have been in favour of the death penalty, or I might be conflating it with some other stupid stunt they did.
Okay, hang on. I'm going to try and find it.
Yeah.
A man dressed as the Stig from Top Gear. Oh, it was a Bring Back Clarkson petition.
Oh,
so they brought a
God,
tank.
that's some.
And then a man dressed as the Stig.
God,
and then
this is like the Sex Pistols at the Free Trade Hall, but for divorced people. It's their fucking Woodstock.
Then what happens is there's a little video of it, and then suddenly there's a little dot, a red dot appears on the Stig, and you're like, oh no. They've got him as well. Sorry, that's just.
I just want to correct Ryan briefly, by the way, that the Legendary Music Festival and area in upstate New York, Woodstock, is no longer called Woodstock. It's now called Lord Walney.
Oh God.
Yeah, no, nothing untoward went on at Woodstock, so that's a bad comparison.
This is one of my most bitter pills to swallow is. Lord Walney, Lord Austin, Aisha Hazarika going into the Lords, all of these people that I'm like, how dare you guys make laws for me until I die? It is rude.
She was on the news yesterday. It's like Baroness Hazarika, who got made a Baroness 3 months ago by Keir Starmer. What do you think about Keir Starmer? I think he's great and all the criticism's wrong. Thank you.
Why don't we hear from Baroness Jenny Chapman? What happened to her?
Keeping a low profile in this campaign, which is unusual.
Is this really... Can you tell me the allegations that I presume Paul Staines came up with?
No. These were allegations that, in fact, Tim Shipman came up with and then deleted and got sued for.
Whoa, Shippers was bound.
Yeah. He's never been more bound.
We can probably say what Shipper's apology was. What he, by his own admission, said that he had implied in his tweets. I think that's...
Yeah, the specific tweet that went nuclear was he claimed that Keir Starmer's wife had banned Jenny Chapman from their house. It was the culmination of a few weeks of tweeting, who's Jenny Chapman? Why has she got so much influence with Keir? What's going on there? And then he tweeted that. And
it was one night he got really mad about it. He did 5 tweets in a row about it, and then
probably quite refreshing.
Loyalty to Jenny Chapman, whose qualifications include losing a red wall seat, seems to be the most important commodity as far as Labour High Command is concerned this evening.
Yeah, not Jack's words, the words of respected journalist Tim Shipman, again. Needs to stress that.
Sunday Times journalist Tim Shipman pays substantial damages to Shadow Minister over tweet. A Shadow Minister has received an apology and a substantial sum from a prominent journalist over a tweet that falsely suggested she had a secret adulterous relationship with Sir Keir Starmer. Baroness Chapman, a shadow Cabinet Office minister took legal action against the Sunday Times chief political commentator Tim Shipman over a tweet the journalist posted in May 2021. On Tuesday, the High Court heard Shipman posted 2 tweets and 2 retweets about Baroness Chapman to his Twitter account, which currently has almost 180,000 followers. In his first tweet on 8th of May last year, Shipman said that loyalty to Baroness Jenny Chapman appeared to be the most important commodity as far as Labour High Command is concerned this evening. He later retweeted a tweet that included the phrase, "Who is this woman? What has she got on Starmer?" His second tweet, which was attributed to an unnamed Labour source, those fuckers always pissing in the broth, claimed that Baroness Chapman had been banned from Sir Keir's house on the orders of the Labour leader's wife. Baroness Chapman's solicitor, Kevin Bonavia, said this tweet would have been understood to mean that Baroness Chapman has been conducting a secret adulterous relationship with Sir Keir Starmer. That allegation is completely untrue, he told the High Court in London. He added, despite the fact that Mr. Shipman deleted the tweet not long after publication, it was too late. It had already been extensively published and republished to thousands of people, including by me, if not more. It went viral. In fact, there's still a viral tweet with all the screenshots up on the Real Politik account to this day. At Bonanza, Bon Jovi said the Labour frontbencher and Shipman had settled the issue with the public statement in court as well as a substantial sum in damages and legal costs. The solicitor added, one of the reasons that she found the allegation so distressing is that it plays into sexist tropes about successful women, undermining not only Baroness Chapman's own work and authority, but that of all women. It was made by a serious political commentator. Someone who should know better, and whose imprimatur undoubtedly gave it greater credence. I repeat that the allegation is entirely false. Claire Duffy, for the journalist, said, Mr. Shipman acknowledges that he should not have published the tweet in question and accepts that its implication is entirely untrue. Mr. Shipman unreservedly apologises for the unlawful conduct and the distress caused to Baroness Chapman. After the hearing, Baroness Chapman told the PA news agency, Tim Shipman let himself down. This was old-school sexism. He was right to apologise, and I accept his apology and look forward to drawing a line under this and moving on.
I just really want more messy shit like this. I want them to be so messy.
That's the most disgraced Shipman has ever
Well, here's
been in this
the
country.
thing to top it off. Less than 2 weeks after the original posts, Shipman tweeted a statement which said, some people may have inferred that I was suggesting a relationship between the two, Baroness Chapman and Starmer, that is not purely professional. That was not its intention or context. Any such inference is untrue. I apologise for the distress caused. No disrespect was intended to anyone, and particularly not to Ms. Chapman, to whom I have written and will pay compensation.
Double spacing all over that statement as well. You know, he was shitting it and drafting and redrafting and fucking thinking about what he can get away with. It's a proper panic statement. Very funny.
That is how heinous it is when somebody says you've had sex with Keir Starmer. Yes. That is how bad it is.
It's an issue of reputational damage.
It is, however, an absolute fact that he stopped wearing his wedding ring sometime around 2021. Consistently. I make no judgment on why that
Silent protest against Brexit, which he's going to stop when he gets in. He's, we're secretly going to... Labour have all these left-wing plans, and their most left-wing plan would have to be that we're going to rejoin the EU.
Yeah, that's a secret plan.
Peter Hitchens is back on as the right-wing leader of the Labour Party as a secret Euro-communist bullshit, which is it's the most funny. It's a platonic ideal of Peter Hitchens' madness. So that's the one thing I'm looking forward to.
He said Starmer is considerably to the left of Corbyn.
Yeah. fact,
Do you know, I walked past Peter Hitchens at Marylebone train station and I laughed hard in his face because I couldn't believe I was walking past Peter Hitchens.
you should have asked for a selfie. That would probably annoy him more somehow.
Yeah, real funny. I tell you, I just thought of another bitter pill. One of the things that was a bitter pill to swallow was the People's Vote campaign, December 14th, 2019, being like, okay, we give up. Okay, bye. Being like, oh, sorry, guys, I thought this was the most important thing that had ever happened to any of you. And it was the only issue you cared about. And it was so profound that you could focus only on that. No, actually, we give up. Okay, bye. I fucking cannot. I would have so much more respect if they were still campaigning now, even given how disgusting, like, the border forces of the EU are and how, horrendous so many parts of it have been. Like, we'd have so much more respect for people who, if they were still doggedly doing that.
But I mean, I don't doubt that
shtick.
A lot of people, like members of the public, genuinely supported what they were offering. But I think for a lot of the people driving that campaign, it was just something to do while they waited for the political centre to reconstitute itself within or without the Labour Party.
Yeah, I agree. Bleak. Bleak as fuck. Do you think there will be any fun in the coming 5 years? Like,
when
how
the
will we
Starmer
get our
government
fun?
falls apart?
Yeah, that eventual collapse will be fun.
Well,
But
they'll
in
have
the
passed all
meantime,
the
I don't know,
anti-fun
like,
legislation
we
by
know
then.
what the Labour right are like. We know they'll be
Yeah.
petty authoritarians. They'll censor the internet. They'll clamp down on like copyright theft and stuff like that. So like all the streaming sites will put their prices up. There'll be like 100 small and boring ways that life will get worse, just in like entertainment and free time and stuff like that. They'll privatise even more space to play football, where kids play football and that in. It's Labour, isn't it? The Labour right. They'll do all the stuff they couldn't push, or they'll try again to do all the stuff they couldn't quite push through under Blair and Brown. Like ID cards.
Day one, ID cards.
They've been talking up their privatisation
Day one
plans
ID cards.
today. And this shit is insane, and it kind of makes you doubt, fucking how quote unquote based Mr. Farage really is, given he's so fucking determined to get the Labour Party elected. And if you talk to the kind of person who supports Farage, they fucking hate BlackRock for some reason. They always use these individual evil corporations as examples of like how the liberal elite WEF people are controlling the world, but it doesn't point to anything about capitalism as a whole. Don't worry about that. But Labour...
There's nothing systemic, no. I tell you what's been fun, sorry to interrupt. I've been reading Doppelganger, the Naomi Klein book. Have you guys read it?
About Naomi Wolf.
Yeah. And it's really fun, and it's one of those ones where I was reading and I was like, Naomi Klein, you've done it again. Because it's such a big book in terms of just like very, very clearly laying out this kind of mindset of like the mirror world kind of thesis that she talks about, which is basically that all of this conspiratorial thinking latches onto real problems but offers fake solutions to them and fake explanations for them. And because the Labour Party, as is now, will not be solving any of those real problems, the fake solutions will be growing at a rate of
This
knots
is what
over the next few
Patrick
years,
Maguire from The Times was saying today. More on just how heavily Labour is relying on private investment in PFI 2.0 to fund its plans from Bloomberg. Getting BlackRock to rebuild Britain. So that's what I'm saying. This isn't in line with the wishes of the populist right. This is very much pure untrammeled fucking Blairism. Bushism even. I think BlackRock made a load in the immediate pre-crash kind of period.
Fuck.
Yeah.
But also, how will people then be able to recover anything approaching a standard of living if we are in need of our own resources of water and stable housing? Like, how will people be able to fucking cope? It's terrifying.
They're just gambling that we'll blame these problems on, immigrant or minority group of the week, same
like
as everyone has every point up to now. They're gambling on the ongoing faith and complicity of the media to
Yeah, to say, Keir was
provide them with
misquoted in
excuses.
that video you saw that was
Scapegoats.
him speaking unedited in front of a live audience. It was
It
misinformation,
was removed from context. No.
They're faking real life.
They'll use phrases like that, the same sort of phrases they would use where people have been mischievous with AI and stuff. They'll just literally deny that you've seen the things
it's crazy.
Say and do. It's worked for them so far, so why wouldn't they keep doing it? Why wouldn't they expand
Like, to
the
send
use
the
of that in the years
Bangladeshis
to come?
back hot water that Keir's got himself into at the moment is so eerily just an echo of the Israel has the right to deprive a civilian population of food, water, and fuel, where it's just like, he said it, multiple shadow ministers said it,
and then
it's like, no, you didn't hear that. Insert lion eyes by the Eagles.
Yeah.
It's fucking disgusting that. And did you see Faiza Shaheen tweeted something where she'd said, they told us to say this, and when I pushed back on it, they told me that I was causing trouble.
Calm the attitude or whatever. Curb the attitude. Yeah. Curb your enthusiasm for children not being murdered on an industrial scale. I'm sure this goes on every day.
I mean,
God almighty.
Did we all see the thing yesterday about the Clacton campaign?
Amazing Labour
about their campaigner, yes!
Melt on melt violence.
Yeah. So, obviously, just for our listeners, or anyone that missed this, obviously Farage is running there for reform, and it was framed initially, previously being a safe Tory seat, as being like a Tory reform marginal as a result. And the Labour candidate, a young black guy called Jovan Owusu-Nepal, he run quite a aggressive campaign against both those parties and was sort of making it a 3-horse race, combined with their polling well. And they've pulled him out of the constituency entirely. He's still the candidate.
It's insane.
On the ballot paper, he'll still probably get an improvement in the vote share, but they've told him to stop. Not only told him to stop campaigning, not only cut any additional funds to the campaign, they've reportedly told it. A Labour Party official has told Jovan to never come back to Clacton, and instructed to move to the West Midlands region. It's campaign for seats. It's a campaign for seats there, rather than like you have to go and live there now. We're literally sending you to Coventry.
I love that. Come and get a few people who used to like make cups of butter coffee for Tom Watson. Get them elected as shithead Labour MPs and councillors.
There's this astonishing quote from it where a campaign source said Labour HQ had been angry with the traction Owusu-Nepal was getting. At one point, Jovan was getting more retweets than Keir Starmer. The officials were furious with him and said he was distracting from Starmer's campaign. Like, he's getting mad about it. He's going to be in charge of the country a week from today, at time of recording, and he's getting mad about Twitter numbers.
But also, he's getting mad about Twitter numbers.
It was like a Labour official.
About his mutuals
which
with,
Labour
like,
official do you think was pissed off about that? Maybe the leader.
But also, he's on his team. Yeah. He's on his fucking team.
It's good if you win seats you weren't expecting to win, or if you come closer to winning them than you were expecting to. It makes it easier to build on that next time.
Yeah, if he takes votes off of reform, that's also a net good. Oh my God. But it's like if you're playing on a football team, we're like, this goalkeeper keeps saving too many goals when I'm the striker. Yeah. It's like, sorry, it was needlessly me being like, I can do an analogy. But it's really, really ugly. But that's been this week all round. This week has been so incredibly ugly. You know, people basically acting like them, aping far-right rhetoric, policy, talking points is somehow not having immediate desired effects for the far-right. It's not even, if they do this, the atmosphere will build up and it'll get worse. It's literally, they're doing this, reform are surging. They're doing this, people who have those views are coming out more and more brazenly with them and feeling encouraged. It's so upsetting.
I think what's quite frustrating is I've noticed again, same sort of period, just the last week or so, the press are being a little bit more willing to be like, Labour quite controlling, aren't they? Not treating some of their activists very well. A bit of a dodgy culture here. Like this article I've just referred to was in The Guardian, for example, who's generally been extremely pro-Starmer. And of course, when Starmer gets in big majority, they'll spend the next few years going like, oh, Starmer needs to stop giving in to the racists and he needs to move to like sensible centre-left politics. And probably including some of the politics they condemned when Corbyn was proposing them in 2017 and 19. It's just going to be infuriating, even though they'll, in a vacuum, be correct, because you know that they don't really want these things. It's about trying to keep their credibility by not lavishly supporting what's going to be a monstrous Prime Minister.
I think Starmer, idolises Macron to the extent that he really wants that thing that Macron has, or Biden has to an extent, where they can say, oh, sorry, it's me or the far right. And he would be perfectly happy. Just as Farage is entirely content with Starmer becoming Prime Minister, I think Starmer would be perfectly happy with Nigel Farage as the leader of the opposition.
And there's absolutely no way this can backfire.
I don't think he would be. Yeah, I don't think he would be so happy when Nigel Farage became the leader of the Conservative Party and then beat him at a general election. I would be happy on a personal level to see literally anyone beat Starmer at this point, but no, I don't think that would be a great thing. But I think that's where Starmerism is serving the country up on a silver platter to people like Nigel Farage. I think if
Farage becomes the leader of the right, be it Reform or the Conservatives or a merger of the two, and the right therefore go further down traditional far right lines, Starmer and his political tendency and the people he surrounds himself with are probably the worst equipped people to fight that, because all they have,
and also just the worst people in the world.
But in this sense, their only strategy that they consistently employ is, oh, you're being really, really, really racist. 10 out of 10 racist. Well, we're only 8.5 out of 10 racist, so vote for us. And the racists will still be happy because we're still racist. But we're less racist.
No, but I think this...
But the racists won't be happy with that because they want fucking 11 out of 10 racism. And you're still making a very racist country considerably more racist over time.
But also, I don't think their strategy is we're less racist. I think their strategy has been we're more competent. What they have never, ever countered these arguments from a moral position. They've never said the way he's talking... they've never said this Rwanda bill is despicable. They've said this Rwanda bill costs too much and won't work.
Yeah.
That's how they've come at it.
Yeah.
It's that, and that is why they're so dangerous.
They've got migrants on a boat permanently docked.
Mm-hmm.
Right, okay,
and
so
would
you get rid of it and home them? Well, I didn't say that.
Well, their supporters will tell you, no, it's okay. They don't agree with this stuff. They're not immoral. They're just amoral. And we'll say fucking anything and it's fine because they're just lying again. And this time they're lying about being right-wing. Before they were lying about being left-wing. I don't know. There's something else. They're a sort of third position, maybe.
People have been, we on the left have been criticising the Labour right on this for a couple of decades now, from every different position of power dynamics between the two groups. And their response has never, ever, ever got more developed or sophisticated than, oh, why do you hate winning?
Oh, yeah. It's all stuff like that. The left hate winning. Yeah. But it's like, this actually isn't a trivial game.
They are. Well, they weren't born there. They weren't born.
And also, they fucking weren't there 5 years ago. They weren't there 5 years ago.
Them because they get bombarded by every single party, giving them the same sort of bills.
I just agree with you.
Have they not heard the phrase, to gain the world but lose your soul? I tweeted a while ago.
Resonate with them?
Generally,
really?
when you read a fucking history book and it's they were single-handedly focused on winning power at all costs, it's followed by, and that's when the killing started.
God.
Well, unless they go Ceausescu and it's them that ends up dying, then I don't think they really give a shit, frankly.
Yeah.
A lot of people kill a lot of people before they get killed themselves, even if it is only a matter of time.
But also, I really hate this idea that people pretend that you have to listen to... this is so basic and so obvious, but people pretend that you have to listen to public opinion, except when the public are saying they want nationalised utilities or public health measures. Yet again, left-wing ideas are the only ones which are still considered to be illegitimate, still considered to be unpopular despite all evidence to the contrary, you know? And it's tiring.
Are billionaires not members of the public too?
Yeah, did you see J.K. Rowling being like, I was going to vote for you, Keir Starmer, and now I'm not. And I was so amused thinking, oh my God, she must be so fucking annoyed that she's only got one vote.
Well, I think that's probably the cause of like all the political interventions over the last 20, 25 years. Like, obviously it was annoying when she was like hugely against Scottish independence. It's not as bad as being against the trans community living healthy lives. But
Yep.
it's the same principle in her intervention. She was just trying to brute force the argument with her status and the money she could put into causes she supports, and she ultimately finds it unfair that you can't literally change the election that way. That someone who didn't have a job had the exact same voting power in the referendum in this general election that she does.
Yeah.
Because it's like there are other billionaires, and multiple billionaires care more about money and capitalism being nice for them than they do about combating gender ideology. And so more billionaires are going for Labour. And so although billionaires very much do matter, she ultimately doesn't, next to the combined weight of the more money-centric billionaires.
Yeah. Most of them will back the winner because
this is
what they can
it.
get from it.
She doesn't fit in with her class. She doesn't fit in. And and so this is why she feels so victimised. She's like, oh no, the other billionaires don't rate me. So this is where it all comes from.
It's alright. There's always fat cops.
Great. Are you familiar with Fat Cops, Josie, the great
No.
Scottish band comprised of like centrist opinion columnists?
This in brief explains like Scottish political discourse. There is a band called Fat Cops, right? So the lineup is
Fat cops.
Fat cops, like fat and sweaty coppers from the old Fast Show bit, I guess. But the lineup is, right, J.K. Rowling's husband.
Who's that?
Is it Neil something? I can't remember his name, but he's in the band.
Neil Murray, is that right?
Yes, him. Yep.
Oh, hang on, I'm looking at them. Hang on.
Yeah, so it's
Fat
him.
cops.
It's Chris Deering, the shit right-wing Scottish journalist. The other shit right-wing Scottish journalist, I'm trying to remember his Ewan Murray? No, Ewan McCall, yeah. McCall, who's a really creepy guy. Bobby Bluebell from the Bluebells. One random left-wing guy who I presume must be the best musician in the band or something, because he has like all the political views they hate. And Al Murray on drums. but like that band, by having two of like the four Scottish opinion columnists who have a national platform, have more power in UK politics than, for example, the city of Dundee, the city of Inverness in its entirety. It's madness.
Is Al Murray even Scottish?
No, I don't think so.
He spent a lot of time here because he's been doing the Edinburgh Festival for like 25 years or more.
Yeah, I guess, but not in Glasgow.
No.
Sorry, I'm looking at a video.
So what, they're like a summer
Cops
band. Like they, like Al Murray heads up to Scotland for summer and they rock out like a boys'
literally
camp.
is. I presume they just go on trip somewhere and hole up somewhere, and it's just a way of getting them out of their respective partner's hair for a week or so. But
it would be very
the band
funny.
was really founded by their wives, but they play non-musical roles. The wives are in more of a managerial position. And
I was going to say,
Fat Cops time.
It'd be very funny if this was heavily bankrolled by J.K. Rowling.
I mean, that's what I've always assumed. I don't obviously know that for certain at all, but they've put out semi-professional music videos and stuff. The songs are dreadful, the videos are cringe as hell. Don't waste your time watching them, but they don't get crowds to their gigs. The only person I've ever seen tweeting about them with any enthusiasm is one of the other...
Me. Good old rock and roll, real music.
One of the other Scottish opinion, like basically the best mate of two of the guys in the band. It's just a pure midlife crisis thing, you know. Most people would just get a motorbike or something.
My dad got a motorbike and a
so
Land
did
Rover.
mine. That's why I use it as the example for that sort of thing.
And he really was having a midlife
I
crisis
think-
as well. But now I think he must have been
I think
fucking
I'd definitely
younger
go
than I
down
am.
the fat cops route.
Fuck! My dad was probably, hang on, sorry. I think I was 10 or 11. Yeah, I think my dad was exactly my age when he got a motorbike and a Land Rover.
There's still
Fuck!
time,
I've got to
Josie.
get into fat cops.
Well, if rocking the fuck
Yeah.
out means you're having a midlife crisis, then call me middle age.
If we see a new biker direction
Right,
on your
often
Twitter,
does.
we won't judge. It's fine.
I'm going to
That's
start
just
my own
Hell's
census
Angels, just my favourite concert, Altamont. I'm just trying to bring back the peace and love vibes of Altamont, everybody's favourite concert from the swinging 60s.
Triumph of crowd management.
Guys, I think I need to go to bed. I'm so sorry. I hope I haven't been too boring. I also feel like I wish I could be slightly more open about how I feel about certain people in comedy, but I feel like
We
I don't know,
understand.
like-
you have an actual platform and therefore a lot more to lose than us. And
well, it's not even that. It's
Yeah.
like the grief. I just feel like fuck it. I don't need more grief from these pricks.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been quite reserved. Because I'm sort of thinking, God, they have got us over a barrel for this election. I don't obviously fucking want the Tories to stay and all that shit. But I feel like every now and again I just have to be like, fuck his thumb, he's a fucking cunt. I hate him and I hate you if you vote for him. And like, but honestly, that much feels really reserved. Like if I was honest about what I think and feel and actually said my opinions on Twitter, it would be 500 times more than that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so when people are a bit like, you're splitting the left or shit like that, I'm like, babe, you have no idea what I want to be saying. This is the nicest version of me, is like occasionally being like, these people are the most terrible people in the world, you know?
can we just briefly
The left,
Obviously,
anyway.
appreciate you've got to go soon, but can we briefly? I know you tweeted about it, but the Marina Hyde talk about corporate sponsorship
shit.
of arts events.
It makes me so angry.
Is she okay to slag off? Because she's not really a comedian. Like, for
No,
a
she's
start,
not.
she's not funny. But
Well, also,
secondly, she just writes, like,
didn't
shit
she-
columns for The Guardian. It's like, is John Harris a comedian?
she
Like,
started out at the
Maybe
Sun,
he'd be better
didn't
at
she?
that. I don't know.
She started out at the
she
Sun,
started out at the Sun.
didn't she?
She's basically
And
went the
then, do you
tabloid
remember-
showbiz route.
Do you remember, and I'm just going to assume that it was Guido Fawkes who reported this and not me, but do you remember the DMs got leaked from Twitter and then all of her DMs with Aaron Banks where she was like
Yes.
super friendly
Yeah,
with him?
we
were
can't
leaked?
tweet about that because Twitter used to like auto-suspend anyone that referred to it too closely. But yes,
Mhm.
I saw the leaked DMs and she was like,
I read them all.
She was really chummy with Aaron Banks. They were
Oh,
not,
yeah.
they were not just
He's a
like
great
laughing
guy.
at one mutual
Yeah, I'm-
enemy or had one conversation after an event or something. They're friends.
No, they were friends. And that's the thing
He's
about
the only
hoax.
Banks that I tolerate. What the fuck? I've just got an email saying I'm suspended from the Labour Party.
Oh, damn, they've got it official now.
Just if anyone who's never heard the show before is like, oh, Josie Long, great, I'll listen to this podcast. I am not a member of the Labour Party. I just wanted to clarify that.
No, I'm not either. Yeah, it's just, sometimes I think it's so funny that we all were so taken in by the Labour Party and we all tried so hard in such good faith. We really worked hard because we really, really thought we had a chance at improving the standard of living for people and improving the world. And I don't feel stupid for that, but I do feel like,
Yeah.
wow, did that really happen? What a dream it was. What a beautiful time the 2017 election was, you know, like, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
so funny the way it's been reported, the way it's been raised to the ground, the way people have been demonised, and yet the truth of it was so pure, and you wouldn't know from the way that all of us talk now, you know? But it was
seems
so
almost
pure.
as unrealistic
Yeah,
a prospect
yeah.
to have a left-wing Labour Party again than it did at the start of 2015 before the election and the leadership result and that. No one would have predicted
Yeah.
Well, look,
what happened there.
yeah, well, like, believe it or not, I'm still an idealist, and that's why I don't stand for Starmerism, and I'm not voting for the fucking Labour Party, and I'm not going to accept that a party was like, nah, we don't have to lie and tell you that things aren't what they are and that bad things are good and good things are bad, just because that's the centre ground of British politics. They said they're not going to do that, and then now they're saying they are. We've got to do that again, and I think that's an unacceptable step back.
Yeah.
And as someone who fucking believes in something, I can't vote for that.
Yeah, and also, I've seen a couple of people who've been so diligent in compiling lists of what Starmer has abstained on, voted for, endorsed, spoken about since 2020. And it's tens and tens of things, each single one of them.
Yep.
Unacceptable. It's too much. Yeah, so Marina Hyder. Yeah, I made a joke which was like, if you're the daughter of a baronet, I'm not interested in your opinions. It's not 1750. And the replies to the tweet, like, honestly, it was just very funny.
She has like a normally silent army of middle-aged businessmen who use their like 2 hours of free time every week to chuckle at her column, and John Crace's maybe as well if they want to branch out a bit.
Now he's funny. That's a real
his
funny
columns
man
aren't funny,
right there.
He's funny as a concept.
Yeah, his profile picture is great. It's brilliant profile picture.
Hang on, who's this?
John Crace.
Highlight
he
photo,
is the
whatever.
other Guardian humour columnist who is again insanely popular for some reason. I always assume.
I think it's because they're never bringing anything to the table beyond snark and beyond the kind of tacit acceptance of the status quo when it comes to how money and power is distributed.
They basically wait for a particular named politician to become unpopular, and then they take the piss out of that politician most weeks, and maybe they're quite good at that for the audience they're aiming for. But they never, ever, ever change anyone's opinion on anyone for better or worse.
Or propose anything, or put, like, what I feel about going all in for Labour when we all did is that we all put our necks on the line and said, yeah, we support this and we want this to happen. And I am always really aware of people who pertain to be political actors who actually never ever do that, because what are they really
doing it as it becomes more of a possibility. And a lot of people were really happy to take at least leftish positions during the new Labour years and during the early years of the Tory government, and then as soon as we got left-wing leadership of the Labour Party, they just backed right away from it. It's like, well, you wanted all this stuff in 2012, but now in 2017, when it's on the table there to vote for, it's like, oh,
you found reasons not to.
Jokers on the right. Who can I vote for? I'm politically homeless. I just wish there was a party.
Marina Hyde was actually on Richard Osman's podcast, or at least a podcast.
I think it's their podcast.
She went on her furious diatribe.
But also, it's so depressing with that, where it's like, no, you can't possibly expect. The two elements of her argument, one of which is you can't possibly expect that arts could be funded by government or by anything like that. And number two, art itself shouldn't be political. It's fucking insane. It's nonsense for people who think that, for people whose conception of what politics is just unfathomable to me. But also, you have to think about the fact that there are people on these podcasts who are multimillionaires, and that the sponsorship given to these literary festivals is not millions from Bailey Gifford. And that were I a multimillionaire, what I would choose to do is step in myself. This is why I'll never have money, I suppose, like that. Because I would just use it to try and fund things for good, I wouldn't
That's not for the likes of you. That's for respectable arms companies, the backbone of our economy.
But this is it. If I was the daughter of a baronet, I would ask the baronet.
She was so fucking mad in that video, by the way. Like, I don't know if you watched it, because I got pissed. I got pissed off at it before I watched it, so I assume not everyone else actually went through and watched the thing. But I put it on, and she was just fuming. She was absolutely outraged. She was
the most
like
genuine emotion I've ever seen.
If you go,
yeah.
She was not detached and aloof on this issue, and she was like, "You go to these festivals, and that is the single best place to go if you want to hear about what's happening in Gaza, whatever." It's like, I sincerely fucking doubt that like some wanker liberal festival funded by arms companies and fossil fuel supporting entities is the best place to go to hear about the genocide in Gaza.
Marina Hyde has a weekly column that loads loads of people read, like loads and loads of people. And what does she have to say about Gaza? Like, how can she possibly claim to be concerned about raising awareness of the Palestinian plight?
Oh yeah, but this is it with all of it. It's that classic argument of, well, why you can't protest like this? I would be supporting you, but you're doing it all wrong. And it's like, well, you've not shown any support whatsoever.
99% of the time, it comes exclusively from people who don't support your cause or you or what you're doing.
Yeah. Oh, I saw that.
Yeah.
You are making me hate you and your cause. Person who hates you and your cause. Person who will never support you. And also, there is something to be said for. I just feel like, if your family are the aristocracy and you do come from that level of privilege, you do stand to lose out in quite a specific personal way from a rupture of the status quo. Like, I remember somebody was saying that no wonder artists from privilege don't want to come out against the establishment, because that is literally their parents. I don't know how useful I am, and I hope people listening to this think it's all right, and I hope that we don't get harassed by people. I think I'm a lot more... I think since 2019, I suppose, I've been kind of trying to not be as out there, just to kind of have my babies, because I've got my babies and stuff, like, to sort of lick my wounds a bit. Yeah. But at the same time, I would not want people to think that I didn't care deeply or have strong opinions about these things, because I really do, and those things aren't going to change. Like, I don't feel like ashamed or embarrassed to have come to the conclusions I've come to, and that's not going to change.
Well, I don't think you need to worry about, like, being harassed by our many enemies for coming on the show or anything like that, because most people who hate us now have adopted a policy of just ignoring us and pretending that we don't exist, and not giving us...
They never listen to the podcast. They would always just see our Twitter invective and moan at us on there. I think the only people who hate us that have ever actually listened to the podcast are Danny Finkelstein and Mike Gapes. The only two.
Gapes must just be like,
and neither
so
of them really hated us at the time as well. It was more with a kind of detached amusement.
I don't get what you're doing. It wasn't for me.
Gapes must just be like, how am I at the centre of this?
Well, Mike Gapes famously described it as, it's a podcast about me and some other people.
I've been really
made by some young men from Hull.
So the only part of the world at this point that we've not had anyone on from, I think.
I saw your tweet today about Femi. Like, we're speaking of kind of the People's Vote guys. He's such an interesting character. He's really all over the shop, because in the Corbyn years, I used to get so frustrated with him. Yeah, I used to be like, "What the fuck are you doing? Spending all your life attacking the Labour Party for things that aren't their fault? You know, why aren't you getting behind this as a progressive thing? You know?" And now he's coming right out and being like, "Fuck Keir Starmer," and I'm really like, Femi, who are you, man? Like, I want to like this. I like new Femi.
I think he's very sincere and also very naive. So, like, the basically dastardly nature of the...
He's dumb as a bag of rocks.
I didn't want to quite say that, but the dastardly nature of the Labour right has been, in the last couple of years, a genuine surprise to him. He also, of course, did well out of the dark money that was being funneled into Remain groups. He probably didn't even think about where that was coming from. He just thought, lots of people want to go back in the EU, and I'm a clever, young, articulate person, so they want to use me as the frontman for it.
He wants to go back in the EU.
He tweets from every so often where he's like visibly betrayed and heartbroken that no one anymore wants to pay him to advocate EU membership and stuff like that, and advocate against Brexit.
Yeah, because he really believed it. And do you know what? I do respect it.
I want to Sorry, Josie, you say your thing.
I do respect it. I respect the fact that he's still like, guys, I still think Brexit is bad, and I always did, because it's like, well, at least you were sincere in this.
Yeah, that I get what you're saying. I can't quite bring myself to say I respect him.
No, I'm not saying I respect him, but I respect that.
Yeah,
I want to row back on my statement that Femi actually gets it slightly. I want to put a little bit of distance between myself and that statement, a little bit of water between myself and Femi.
Too late.
What I meant
I think we
was
should,
that
you
he
should reach out
gets
to
that
him.
Keir Starmer is
Get him playing keyboard to accompanying your next guitar session on the streams.
Oh yeah, his electronic piano or whatever. Yeah, no, all I meant to say was that what he actually gets is that Sir Keir Starmer is a very bad and evil man, a lying piece of shit, and an all-round cunt.
Yeah. I'm not sure that was Femi's exact words, but that was the gist of it, and he's correct.
That was what he was heavily implying, as shippers would say. I inferred that from his statement.
Yes.
Correctly, I believe.
Yes. And no one's going to be suing Femi for that.
I'm really happy that I'm not going to be I'm going to be camping really far away on a Hebridean island over the election, and I'm not going to have my phone on. I don't even think I'll have reception where I'll be, and I am not going to follow the election.
Well,
and it's wild, considering how hard we all worked.
Period of time where Starmer's Prime Minister, but you don't know for certain that he is, and you can just be like...
Yeah, it'll be... What is it, Schrodinger's Prime Minister? I'm going to try my hardest. Do you know like that Whamageddon where people try not to listen to Wham?
Yeah.
And I'm going to do that, but for the results of the election. And I'll tell you how far I get. Maybe I'll get to August, Maybe I could see, genuinely, if I could never find out.
You should just stay in the Hebrides. You'd be like the Japanese soldier who didn't realise the war had ended 40 years later.
Yeah, but the irony is I'll come out and be like Jeremy Corbyn, and people are like, the ghost of Corbyn! Oh my God, do you know what? I'm really genuinely going to see how long I can try not to find out.
Okay.
That is going to be so
Please
fun.
let us know how long you manage. Just drop one of us a DM or something.
I bet I manage a fucking 20 minutes.
It's going to be really difficult. As soon as you put your phone back on, basically, it's going to be incredibly difficult. But that's worth a try.
Yeah, it's just like we never hear. And that was the last we heard of Josie Long. It's like, you hear whispers, she lives a simple life now, raising goats with her family.
If you vanish entirely from public life, we won't drop any hints. We won't tell on you. It's fine.
No, don't spoil it for me, because
we do have a few people that will be listening
peace.
to this podcast, but they'll keep it secret as well. It's fine.
Yeah, not that many, it's fine. So can we bring this to a close? Before we wrap up, I want to apologise to Josie and to anyone who's listening who thinks that I'm not really engaging with Josie's points. I didn't hear a lot of them because of connection issues.
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
But they should come through on your recording, so that should be absolutely fine on the episode itself. And I did my best to engage with the things you said, and I think Geraint ably picked up the slack there. So I think, has been a very good episode regardless. So thanks again for coming on the show, Josie.
Yes,
guys, it's so nice to hear both of your voices in real life. And it's nice to speak to you fine comrades, and it's a funny old time, and I'm glad that everyone is just keeping on, because next time we shall be ruthless.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I might put Curtis Mayfield keep on keeping on at the end there.
Keep on keeping on.
One day we'll reunite for an episode when we're all like 70 and the left will be in power, and it'll be wonderful.
Oh yeah, just before we all get purged in some very cruel twist of fate.
If I get purged from the left, that is the happiest death, I think, in Britain. The kids are all right. Like, in last words, being like, the kids are all right.
Oh, guys, we didn't even talk about Super Tansky.
That's
my least favourite.
Yeah, please, can we get your thoughts on her? Because again, she's not a comedian. She's just some idiot on the internet, so it's fine.
But no.
One of the saddest truths of my life is that I am blocked by her, and it genuinely makes me sad. I wish I could see her tweets. I wish I could enjoy them, and I'm blocked. And it breaks my heart.
The fuckstickle government needs a cromulent ass bumbling.
Jack, you need to get on TikTok. You could be making us you could be funding the podcast for years to come with this material.
Yeah, just put 15 cuts in that one sentence that was already fractured to start with.
Oh, God almighty. Well, have a lovely evening.
Thank you, Josie, as well. You too.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thanks
again for coming on, and enjoy your holiday. enjoy your peaceful retreat from the dystopian hell that is Starmer's Britain. It's not technically started yet at time of recording, but you get a reprieve from it, and that's great.
Thank you. Guys, any enemy of yours is an enemy of mine. Just
TV's
remember
Josie
that.
Long agrees with us. It's fine. It's fine. It's a mainstream opinion now.
You can do that anytime, please.
Rachel
you have my
Reeves?
full endorsement.
Is it cool
Fuck
to say
Rachel Reeves. Yes, I hate Rachel Reeves. I hate all of the members of Starmer's cabinet. I hate them.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, I better go, guys. I'm going to send you this, okay?
Great. Yeah. Okay. Just fire that over when you can.
Thanks loads.
Thanks again.
Thanks for having me. I'll see you guys later.
All right. Bye.
See you guys. See you as well. It's been really fun. Night, Geraint.
Yeah. No joke.